Hello, my name's Steve Lowe. I'm Product Director for Mobile at Gamma. And we're here today to do the Gamma Mobile podcast. And I'm joined by my colleague, Rob Kittler.
Hello.
And from Germany, Christian Krug.
Hi. Hi, everyone. First of all, I'm pleased that I can talk to you about the important topic of IoT and eSIM functionality and its almost unlimited possibilities. Yeah, Steve said it. My name is Christian Krug, I'm Managing Director of Epsilon Telecommunications in Germany, a wholly owned company within Gamma Group. We are the market leader in the B2B marketing of connectivity solutions from the three most important network operators in Germany: Deutsche Telekom, Vodafone, and Telefonica.
That's great. Thanks, Christian. And yep, Gamma acquired the Epsilon business 2 or 3 years ago now, and it's really an excellent addition to our business. So I guess, Rob, Christian, we're here today to talk about eSIM. And I suppose firstly, people might want to know what is eSIM?
Well, I'm glad we're talking about eSIM, Steve, because I keep getting asked about it from partners, from their customers, the mobile inbox that comes into Gamma that we look after here. Yeah, I'm being asked about it, so it can't arrive quickly enough for us. But yeah, people think they know what it is, I think, because they're used to it, maybe from some other vendors. But I'm interested when we're going to release it and what difference it makes for some of our partners.
Yeah, well, actually, it's quite interesting because we have had the eSIM functionality for about a year within Gamma, and we've used it within our enterprise business and for key partners who've been demanding it. So we've not had a fully industrialized solution where people can order eSIM necessarily through our portal, but we've had a workaround solution for those partners. And actually that's allowed us to really test the functionality in detail before we roll it out more widely. And you know, it's working fantastically well. So I think your partners are in for a treat when we launch it.
I'm looking forward to it. I know it ticks that big environmental ESG box for a lot of people that they're keen on. It's ticking a box as far as moving forward with some different manufacturers that are concerned, and I know that their end customers are looking to upgrade some of their devices, so that's important to them. And I suppose it's also important to me and my colleagues that are selling here at Gamma, because it's a step forward all the time. I know we're always trying to make our network better, make our products better, make our product set better. So it's one of those major steps, I suppose. So proud that it's getting released in the near future, so yeah. Probably by the time people are watching this, I'm guessing.
There'll be a big marketing push in the next month or two, yeah. And I think it's probably important that we kind of discuss what it is, you know, because we talked about the environmental business benefits. We've also, I mean, clearly it's better for end customers as well. So the way that it works is that there is still a SIM chip, so it's still a piece of physical hardware, but it's actually soldered into the device at manufacture. And then what will happen is that when the customer selects their airtime package, or we do a deal with them, or the channel partner, you know, sells them Gamma Mobile, they will actually be able to download the eSIM profile, so the SIM profile, the electronic profile, over the air and onto the physical hardware. And then everything just works as normal. Yeah, the service fires up just as if you put a physical SIM into the SIM slot in a device. But the benefit from an ESG point of view is that when the customer wants to change their provider, they can do that without having to put a new SIM card into the device. So you use the same SIM chip, but a different profile is just downloaded onto that SIM, and then
so the SIM the eSIM isn't affiliated with any particular network when it's in the device, naturally, I suppose, and then we force or push that profile down to that soldered in. So it's forgive my ignorance, it's like a physical SIM, but already glued into the device, as you say, soldered in, for us to manipulate and send profiles down to.
Exactly.
And I know that the likes of Apple have had eSIM for a little while, and Samsung have had eSIM for a little while. I presume all the other manufacturers are going to come good and start to follow this trend. But I don't know, I'm not supposed to be asking the questions, but maybe I'll ask this one to both of you. Are we going to see it across maybe other types of device, routers, wearables, things like that? Because I know we do an awful lot of those as far as SIM cards are concerned.
Yeah, definitely. I think maybe Christian's best to answer that one, because I mean, Christian's been driving IoT within the German market for the last 3 or 4 years. So I think you're probably very well aware of the IoT benefits that are driven by eSIM.
Yeah, that's right. The eSIM functionality will open up a wide range of opportunities that will have a significant positive impact on IoT and IoT growth. Currently, mobile phone connections are made without an eSIM, here in Germany especially. This means that each network operator has its own SIM cards. This means that you have to choose the network operator you want to use in each country before you set up the device. However, if eSIM cards or eSIM chips, like Steve mentioned, or eSIM chips from FUSION IoT are installed right from the start, any available network operator can be selected or exchanged on site worldwide without the need to change SIM cards. Of course, even in the event of a network disruption, an available network can either be made available over the air or imported via profile.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really great point. And I think one real example of this is streetlights. I mean, we have a client that is putting SIMs in devices that are placed at the top of streetlights. And what the devices are doing is measuring the level of light, right? So the idea is that you don't turn the streetlight on until the light has fallen below a certain level, right? So the problem at the moment for many local authorities is that streetlights are turned on based on time. And sometimes it's quite a bright day and they turn the lights on early, and therefore they're wasting money, basically paying for electricity that they don't need to pay for. So it's a great idea. But the problem comes when the provider wants to actually change the network coverage provider, because they then have to climb up 100,000 lampposts or something to swap out the physical SIMs. And that, that's just completely unfeasible. So it makes it very difficult for them to get the best coverage deal, the best commercial deal. So I think that's one that I'm aware of. But Christian, you've probably got more experience of kind of IoT use cases for eSIMs from the work that you've done over the last few years. Are there any that really stand out to you?
Yeah, I have another example for the usability of eSIM and the function that is necessary. We have a customer, Alps Alpine. It's a provider or a manufacturer for routers for postal services all over the world. And in former times, you have to use for every country another SIM card to get the coverage there in the country for narrowband IoT. So you have to know exact how many routers you need for each country. With the eSIM functionality, now you can put the eSIM chip in the router, and you can provide it all over the world, and you can choose the narrowband IoT provider in the country you need at any time over the air. So there's a massive cost efficiency for producing the routers for the postal services worldwide. And that's why we use the eSIM functionality. That's great opportunities for asset tracking all over the world.
So that's a really good one, because I guess what you're doing there is you're putting the right coverage provider onto the SIM based on location. So, if the router is in Germany, you would use one provider. If they travel to the UK, you might use a different provider.
Yeah, or to India or Mexico or something like that.
Yeah, so all that can be managed over there. And as you say, the kind of stock management benefits are huge. So it's far more efficient because you're manufacturing routers for the global market. So your overall forecast is what you're looking at. And it doesn't really matter then which country those routers land in, because you will apply the correct coverage. That's a brilliant.
And we're not shipping plastic around the world essentially with physical SIM cards. I know they're only small, but there's still a delivery involved and a postage and a packaging involved and things like that. Yeah. From a native Gamma Mobile perspective in the UK, I suppose I am biased. I work in that department, but I do realise that some partners may be affiliated or use other networks. Other networks do exist in the UK. So I'm guessing with an eSIM capable device, they could have their primary or a connection that I'm trying to displace and prove that our network is better, faster, and we know we've got the best 5G in the UK. So if they've got an eSIM device, I'm guessing in a dual SIM handset maybe, they've got their Vodafone SIM, dare I say the V word or something, they can download the profile on their eSIM device, test Gamma Mobile, realise it's faster, understand it's better, then choose to come and pay us, join our network, the faster network.
Yeah, no, that's a great example. It leads me on to a proof of concept that we're actually running at the moment together with Christian's team. So we're running a proof of concept for one of the most recognizable brands in the UK, but a brand that has 2,500, 3,000 vehicles that travel around the UK. And for the work they do, it's absolutely essential that they're connected all the time. If they lose connectivity, they lose efficiency. It costs them a huge amount of money. So what we're doing with them is that they've installed routers in a number of vans that they're trialing this proof of concept with. Exactly as you say, in this router, there are 2 SIM slots. The primary SIM slot has the Gamma SIM in it, or kind of Gamma 3 UK. And that's handling kind of 98% of traffic, something like that. The second SIM slot, we've got a FUSION IoT SIM from Christian's team. And the idea is that when we lose the connection on the Gamma 3 service, the router will switch the service over to the second SIM and the FUSION SIM kicks in, and that gives access to the other UK networks, and that SIM will connect to the strongest signal. And that's working fabulously well. The client's absolutely delighted. The primary SIM, the Gamma 3 UK SIM, is working brilliantly. They've got great coverage, but the handover to the FUSION SIM is almost seamless when it's needed. So they retain that connectivity. And that just additional 2%.
Yeah, that disaster recovery element.
Well, there's a 2% additional coverage makes a huge difference to their operational costs. Yeah. And exactly as you say as well, we've all seen occasions where networks have gone down for a day or 2 days over the years. It's a kind of once in a 5-year event, but it happens. If that happened to a business like that, it would be a disaster. So, I mean, I think this is a growing use case, and it's one that I think between us we've got a great solution for.
Yeah, if there's any coverage, we can get it with FUSION IoT. So if there's a mobile coverage, you can use data connections.
So it's not just routers then, chaps, is it, that we're talking about? I mean, that's what you've said. We're trying and testing them right now, but essentially people can have a dual SIM handset with Gamma as the primary, an IoT as the secondary for those 2-3% coverage areas.
Yeah. Well, you think about lone workers. It's ideal for lone workers who may be working in a remote location where coverage isn't great on any particular network, and sometimes you just need to connect to any network because it's the consequences of not having connectivity can be very serious.
So we talk about our coverage and our connectivity with eSIM. And I want customers, unashamedly. I want my partners to thrive and connect SIMs and exist and make money and all that good stuff. But they're really giving a solution to their customers that benefits the other customer. The engineering team that you mentioned then, they could probably turn around to their end customer to go, look, we're covered. And that gives them that, what's the word I'm looking for? Just that knowledge and reassurance, basically.
Yeah.
So it's not just a smart technology then. It's as far as moving forward from a mobile perspective, us trying to release something. This is truly going to help a lot of businesses win onward business, pick up some peripheral contracts, reassurance across different elements. I'm guessing there's lots of verticals that must exist then, Christian, Steve, that I haven't even maybe thought of or I don't penetrate Gamma Mobile with at the moment.
No, definitely. And I think what we're talking about here is increased efficiency for businesses, increased convenience for consumers, right? So this is starting to go right to the heart of business success. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there are endless use cases for businesses in the digitalization of the whole world. So with FUSION IoT, together with Gamma Mobile, with the eSIM functionality, you get the coverage you need, you got the data connection you need all over the world for all businesses in the near future. So that's a wide range of opportunities for partners and customers in win-win situations.
Yeah. And I think a really exciting thing I heard from you, Christian, was that through Fusion, you'll be adding satellite this year as well.
Yeah, we got satellite over Fusion IoT over our platform combined with the other providers. We started with Telefonica at first because all over the world you have only 15% of coverage with the traditional telecommunications. With satellite IoT, you got 100% of coverage all over the world. And that's also a huge opportunity for asset tracking, for example, or other tracking aspects all over the world.
Yeah, exactly. And again, in those lone worker situations, I also think of utility type companies who have dams in the middle of nowhere where you don't necessarily have terrestrial mobile coverage.
Don't ever think of.
Yeah.
It needs connectivity, basically.
So just to be able to have that reassurance that satellite's there if you need it, I think is hugely important.
So I'm excited about handsets and making sure that my partners' customers can access the best 5G in the UK. Christian's obviously excited about worldwide router connection, but I don't think I understand how you get the profile onto the device. I know QR codes exist, and I know we've probably tested some. As you said earlier, we've got some partners that have already tried eSIM and are already running it, and I think we pushed those profiles out a special way. But how do you get it? How do you get on the device, Scott? How do we get it onto a router? How do we get onto a phone? Okay,
well let's talk about the phone first. And actually, there's some quite interesting use cases that are coming up. But let's talk about the kind of how do you actually get the profile onto the phone. So the way that it's been done most commonly is to create a QR code, which can be emailed to a customer if they've got a second screen. Or in some cases is posted to the customer, which is really not a great experience. But we know that some of the operators, for example, have printed QR codes on pieces of plastic, so it looks like a SIM card, and they're sending those, cards out to customers.
Defeats the object to some degree.
Defeats the object. Okay. But the idea then is that you have your phone and you will scan the QR code. Yeah, okay. That's why you need a second screen if you're going to do this by.
Yeah, or it needs a camera on it. But we've got devices that haven't got cameras, like the routers and stuff.
Yes. Okay. So the other way of doing it is actually via an application. So one of the things that we'll be launching this year within Gamma UK is an application that we'll put onto the phone, and that will allow us to actually trigger the download of the eSIM profile from the phone. So actually what happens when you scan a QR code, what you're doing is you're extracting something called a matching ID. And this is a kind of an authentication code that the operator has. And that matching ID is sent to the operator, to their digital warehouse for eSIM profiles, let's call it. And they then analyze that matching ID and say, yes, okay, I've got a profile that matches that ID. And they then allow the download of that profile to the SIM on the device. So what we're doing with the application actually is we're almost spoofing the QR code scanning, yeah. But the process is the same. You're just extracting, you're accessing a matching ID and you're pushing that to the operator and you're downloading the profile. Yeah. Okay. But it's a more seamless way of doing it.
Makes sense. And how long does this take? Is it minutes, seconds, hours?
Seconds.
Seconds.
Yeah, it's seconds.
It's exciting, isn't it? I can get a number live in seconds.
You can get a number live in seconds, Rob.
Hey, might keep the partners happy.
No, it's great. And actually, I was thinking one of the use cases that we are starting to see is around travel SIMs. So you imagine that you go onto a website and you book your holiday. So you book your holiday and you'll normally book your flights, you'll book your hotel, and they'll offer you a hire car and, all these additional services.
I know where you're going with this then.
Yeah. So the other thing they can offer is connectivity. So you might say, okay, I'm going to... let's say I'm going to Morocco for a week. You might want a local SIM, or you might want a roaming SIM that gives you very good rates in Morocco. So what they can then do is book your connectivity. So you book your connectivity, and then prior to going on your holiday, you'll receive a QR code. that you can then scan, and you download your Moroccan profile.
Yeah.
And then when you arrive in Morocco, it just fires
You're
up
on
and it's
native
working.
call charges and
Native call charges, yeah. All very good roaming call charges
Yeah.
from Gamma.
excellent.
Yeah, that's a great service. That's a great service for the travel agencies, because it's an add-on service for their customers. So also there's a win-win situation for all.
Yeah, so yeah, exactly. It's win-win. It helps the customer, and it's more revenue for the travel agent. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I guess the other use case I wanted to talk about really was security. You know, if we think about some of the lone worker use cases we've been talking about, you know, security guards, people who may be in areas where coverage is difficult and they really have to be connected, then I think having the FUSION IoT SIM gives them access to all the networks. They pick up the strongest signal, so that helps, you know, that's secure. But I think also if we look at the convergence of technologies and maybe combine that with mobile device management, with geofencing capabilities, then actually the people at the center, right, the security management, can actually draw a geofence around where that security card needs to be, and they can track where he is. So if he goes outside of the geofence, there's a problem perhaps, and they
Like
need
they're
to.
the assets
Yeah.
to some degree, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But also if he stops moving, if they know he's supposed to be at a certain place at a certain time because that's the route that he walks when he's doing his security patrol, and he suddenly stops, you know, they don't see him moving, then again, that's an indicator that something could be wrong, and, you know, they can send people in. And again, some of the devices, you know, that we have access to where, you know, there's shock detection. So if somebody has a fall, you can detect that, you know, that will be detected at the center. And
Yes.
again, that can set an alert and send people in to actually check what the situation is. So I think that's one aspect of security. And Christian, I think you've got, you know, another example around security of companies' data.
Yeah, I have, because you can build as a customer, you can build with FUSION IoT your own network on the full coverage. So you have a network with a virtual private network on the profile. So you have your own network, and the gadgets and the devices can't get addressed from the free internet for security purposes. So you have your own network, and that's only for you, and nobody can come from the outside into your devices for security purposes. And that's very important for government use cases and something like that.
Yeah, no, it's great. So we're protecting the devices with the mobile device management capability, and then we're getting the traffic routed securely. So it makes it very, very difficult to hack and try to intercept that traffic. So yeah, perfect. Very good.
And I'm guessing there are obviously obvious verticals where people need security. You mentioned governments, and I'm guessing some legal firms, accountancy, anyone that's dealing with anything mildly, that you don't want in the public domain while they're talking about stuff. Yeah. So that means our partners will have access to some of this technology through eSIM when they put their thinking hats on, or at least go out to some of their customers and ask some more searching questions other than, you know, kind of look after your standard airtime, please. Yeah. There's lots of opportunity then from eSIM where little old me just thinks it sits in an Apple phone or a Samsung, but the reality is that it's opening up a whole realm of connectivity opportunity.
Yeah, and again, Rob, I think that's a great example because, yeah, we all think about security as something that's critical for public sector and large enterprise businesses, but actually SMEs as well, you know, they have the same need. As you say, they could be it could be legal firms, accountancy firms dealing with personal information, and we all understand the implications of GDPR and actually not complying with that. The consequences can be very severe for a company. So yeah, brilliant example again. So I think we've made the case really strongly for eSIM here, haven't we? And I suppose we need to kind of understand why the network operators haven't really driven this. And Christian, I think you were saying in Germany, it's similar to the UK, you know, eSIM adoption has been quite slow.
Yeah, that's it. Because the carriers in Germany, they don't want to that their customers will be free of choice, the carrier. if you have the SIM card from the carrier direct, you can only make data connections and telephone connections with only this provider or this carrier. So if you want to change as a customer the provider, you have to change the SIM card in your device. And with the eSIM functionality in the device, you are free as a customer because you only have to change. You said it before. You can scan a QR code and you change the carrier. And the carrier don't want this. They want the customers in their network. And and that's why I think eSIM is not so much supported from the carriers itself. But IoT is another thing.
That's interesting then that the carriers don't want it. I work for Gamma Mobile. We're an MVNO. To some degree, we're a carrier. I want it. I want my partners to give the best 5G to their customers and get the most value for money and the highest speeds that they can. So are we bucking the trend here by wanting to launch eSIM out and entice that massive, fantastic customer experience? Because it feels like the right thing to do, or is it because I'm in a unique position with our 5G, which I'm proud of?
It is
great.
It is the right thing to do, isn't it? Because I think, as we've discussed, it's good for the end customer. It makes switching so much easier for them. We can ensure that we get the right level, the right type of connectivity onto the device at the right time, so they never lose the connection, which is, one of the huge benefits of the FUSION IoT SIM with the multi-network access. We've talked about the environmental benefits, that we're not shipping plastic all over the place. You have a chip in the device, and then that's it. You can overlay profiles over the air, so the environmental benefits are clear. But I think in the UK, we had a precursor of this really when mobile number portability was launched in 1998, because what happened there was we were the first in the world to do it because the regulator insisted that it was done. But the operators were tasked with creating a process, and they made it the most difficult process you could imagine.
I remember those sheets with the little crosses I had to fill in.
Everything was done by fax for years and years. So we made it very difficult for people to switch. And I think it's the same case, the same with eSIM. Exactly as Christian says, the larger carriers, if they've got you as a customer, they don't want to make it easy for you to move. And I think as Gamma, we're in a different mindset. We're just focused on doing the best thing for the customer.
So Steve, I as you can tell, and I've asked a few questions around this because I'm tilted towards the partner channel and Gamma Mobile, and you keep hearing me talk about 5G and the speeds and all that good stuff. We know there's environmental impact. We know we're not going to send engineers up lampposts multiple times because of the launch of eSIM and that low touch aspect and not sending plastic around. And I'm guessing, and Christian's explained it as well, that there's more than my small-minded devices that are going to get connected out there, but it's going to explode. Surely there's so many device types, and it's a cliche for me to say your fridge is going to tell you what it's got in it, your garage door will open, you come through and is there almost, chaps, have we got to be aware of an ethical aspect to this, where all of our daily routine is monitored, it's analysed, there's a data aspect to that, and there's a personal aspect to that as well. And as much as I want to sell SIM cards and create money and profit for my partners, do any of us have to worry about the ethics of eSIM and of wider connectivity?
I'm not sure so much about eSIM, but I think the broader convergence of technologies, as you said, really it's about data privacy, isn't it? The privacy of the individual, and how that data is used and exploited by companies. So I know there's clearly the big tech companies are running ahead. I mean, they're driving forward with things like artificial intelligence. I mean, we've talked about some of the simple convergence of MDM with kind of IoT, with
that almost seems quite basic, even though it's yet to arrive. So the AI stuff is going to be.
Yeah, but the AI stuff takes it to a whole different level, especially when, big data can be analyzed and, as you say, everything about you can be known. So I think governments and regulators have really got to step up here as well. There needs to be an absolute focus on ensuring that things are done ethically, for the benefit of humanity, really. Because if you think about it, all of this stuff can be truly transformative, right?
Yes.
You know, we'll probably be in a completely different type of society in 30 years' time to what we are now. But I just get the sense, like I think you're sensing, that we're a little bit behind where the technology is. The technology is jumping ahead. The possibilities are being clear, becoming clear, but we're not keeping pace from a, you know, safeguards point of view.
Yeah, I suppose as long as we are then, and it's always beared in mind, then the technology can absolutely work for us.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, and I think we only support the right connectivity, the best case in real time, and that's our business, to give the people the best connection. What they do with this possibility, I think it's a problem of society. We don't make the content, we only make the connection for it. And you can use it as you want, or if you want, or if you won't.
And there's plenty of really positive use cases for what we're doing here, which will, you know, vastly benefit businesses, vastly benefit humanity, really. I think it's just the other stuff and how this all converges with artificial intelligence. We need to, you know, as a society, we need to focus a little bit on making sure we've got the right safeguards in place.
Well, I confess, when we sat down and started talking about eSIM and the launch of it and its imminent, element from being launched by us in the next couple of months and weeks, and I didn't think we'd end up the conversation talking about AI. It seems to be coming around all the time. So, puts a little bit of a shudder through me to some degree. All I thought about was the handsets and the routers and how easy life could be, and now we're talking about humanity.
Well, there you go. That's how these conversations roll.
That's how it moves.
Yeah.
Okay.
But also AI need connection. You have no AI if you don't have a connection to it. So you need the connection.
So our job is the right AI with the right connection in the right location with the right application. So yeah, perfect.
That was almost a rhyme then, Steve.
Yeah, that could be a rap song, couldn't it? Yeah, we'll have to write that. Okay, guys. Well, look, thank you very much. And that's it from us for this episode. I think it's been a really interesting discussion. Great to get the insights of Rob and Christian. So thank you guys for sparing the time.
Thanks, Steve.
And look, we'll see you for the next episode. Thank you very much.